Welcome back, winners. And my name is Michael, and welcome to episode 8 of the Outside Bet. We were 5% up yesterday, and that's 30% up since the international break. And there's another free bet in today's video for you on Saturday's championship games. So, as ever, please like, subscribe, and comment on the YouTube video. Leave us a 5-star review if it's into the podcast, and please feel free to email in any questions, and we will have an up-and-coming Q&A to look at all those things. So, firstly, good week. We've had a good week. We won on the women's football, the women's Champions League. We won on some international football, which I don't normally do, but we had our training method in place. And so, first of all, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to discuss Women's Champions League and also Women's Super League. As gamblers, there are things like international breaks. There are things like a gap in the men's calendar for so and so and so and so. It is a very good edge to have different leagues and different things to focus on. I know there are people that say women's football isn't the same, but actually it's exciting, it's getting a better standard, but it also has some other things in there. It's starting to have XG on matches live and on data, and it's starting to have a reputation for quite a lot of goals, or at least a couple more goals. And that means if you're running models like ours and the game shows up as something you might like to have a bet on, if it's in the overs, it makes it a much stronger bet, whether it's overs in the first half, like we did in the Women's Champions League this week, or if it's overs in the second half, or in the match as a whole, it doesn't matter. They have got a good chance of coming in, and all of ours did. We had high scoring first half goal trades for the Chelsea, the Arsenal, and the PSG games. They all came in. One was hedged off. I think the Arsenal one was hedged off and ended up being nothing. But the whole point is that it adds another string to your bow at a time when there is no football. This is why we cover the Brazilian League as one of our leagues, is because it runs through the summer. And this is why we move into the J League, the K League, and various other bits that we can run so that when the English football or the European football stops, that there is still ways of actually satisfying the members who would like bets, and also the big private money accounts that run big football bets. Those all need to find somewhere to bet. So with that said, we are now out of the international break. Boom. That's what we've been waiting for. Now there's going to be football, football, football all the way through till January, February time. And it's going to be wall to wall, especially in England, because we all know how much we over Pele. And there's going to be more and more of our videos coming out, probably as much as one every day, 5 a week, let's say, 5 or 6. The Patreon will be set up so people can start getting copies of. I've got here because we were doing the work today. Say we had some, these are just some levels that we're just looking at. Say we had a £4 entry level where you could pick a league, receive our predicted scores. And when I say predicted scores, I don't just mean you get a list of the scores that we predict for each match. When they come through, they look like this. This is the championship this weekend. And it gives you the game. It gives you what's called the MB coefficient, which is named after me because I invented it. But it's just a way of scoring the game to decimal places. So, for example, a game could be 1.62 to 0.97. That equates to a 2-1 predicted score and gives us an Asian handicap of, like in this case, plus 6.5, 0.65. And it also gives us goals of 2.6. This enables us to take those two numbers, the Asian handicap for our basically our supremacy number and our total goals number, and we take those into the bookmakers' prices and we try and find value for someone to bet, for us to bet on. Remember, it doesn't matter how good your predictions are. It doesn't matter how good all your methods are for finding scores and knowing what's going to happen in the future. If you can't find a book that disagrees with you, you can't bet. So if we go all out on one of the, say that the North London derby on Sunday, say all of our models point to 3-0 exact win to Arsenal, and then every single bookmaker we look up has got 3-0 to Arsenal, we're not betting on the game. And if it is then 3-0 to Arsenal, we don't celebrate and say, oh, we've won this, we've won that. We haven't won anything because it's about winning money. Now, if we can trawl through all the bookmakers and find someone who's got, I don't know, it's a bit of an extreme example, but 1-0 to Spurs, then we can go massively because that's a 4-goal swing. So even if, as you know, if you've watched our Protect Your Bank and if you've watched our How We Choose Our Bets video, which are on YouTube on the evergreen section of the site, teaching you how we actually operate. What we would be looking for there is someone who disagrees with us by more than a goal. So even if we found a bookie that said Arsenal supremacy is, for this game is 1.75 and we've got three, that's a bet on us. For us, that is a bet to go long Arsenal supremacy. Where you have to be careful, and I've said this on so many videos, if it's also the same that the goals, the total goals market is over for that, which it probably will be, you can't bet on both because they're the same bet. You know, if all the street is expecting an Arsenal 1.75, but Arsenal have got the best defence in the world, they're probably saying that the total goals for the game is something like 2.1. So if you get there and find that we've got total goals of 3.5 and that they've got 2.1, that's not another bet because it's the same bet as the Arsenal supremacy. So that's how that works. We also, as well as doing these for the six main leagues, and people will have a chance on the Patreon to get one of these leagues for £4, say a month. We haven't decided on the exact final prices. It will be set up next week, I believe. We are thinking that well, you obviously be able to be a patron member for zero. So straight away, you'll find out what we're doing, when we're doing it, when we're posting stuff out, and you'll be able to see whether you want to join the community or whatever. There'll be a tier league for just one league, because obviously some people who live in Spain only want La Liga. See you later. Don't want anything else, that's fine. And then more likely there'll be a tier bet. So you'll get all of these for the six leagues we cover in your inbox as soon as we produce them. And if there's midweek fixtures, they'll come in again. There'll be betting advice, there'll be etc. on all of that. And that will be at a sort of maybe at £20 level, we think. And then finally there'll be a top level, which you'll receive what I'll tell you about a bit in the end of this video, but you'll receive our actual leans and our actual bets. So it won't be, we've already agreed with our super premium members who get every single bet we put on that we will not give out every single bet on this Patreon at all. But we will go through and say things like our leans are overs in the Charlton game, overs in the Birmingham game, unders in the Oxford game. And it'll be up to you to go and find the bets. Also, maybe not even find our sort of bets, but go with bet builders or anything else where there's value. But we're just pointing at value. That's all we're doing is pointing at value. There'll also be the leans on the team's supremacy as well. And those would be the sort of tiers from Patreon. Of course, we do have our private WhatsApp membership group, which has nothing to do with Patreon, nothing to do with anything. And we charge quite a lot of money for people who receive every bet that gets put on by us. So as soon as we put a bet on, obviously we front run our own bets. It's not illegal. We put our bet on, and then we just tell people that we put that bet on. And so that's for that service. It's well away from Patreon. It's not really for the man on the street or the sort of amateur gambler. It's a lot of money, and it's not something I'm selling or wanting people to jump in and do. So finally, these are the sort, to give you a clue, as well as the trades, we have trades. We produce this sort of thing, which will go out to our people who pay the £20 a month sort of subscription level. These are match day cheat sheets. So for tonight's football, we've got the teams that will score the most goals, the teams that will score the medium-sized amount of goals, and the teams that score the lowest level of goals in green. These are just 7 matches chosen from tonight across Europe. Then we've got the home team supremacy, so it's ranked against each other. So if you now looked at the bookies but saw that Valencia weren't as good a favourite as Preston in tonight's game, weren't as good a favourite as Nice, you can see that there's value there. We produce punditry notes and commentators' notes for each match. They're just 3 lines on every match telling you. So I'll give you a clue I'll give you an example from Nice. Nice are compact out of possession on dangerous on quick vertical attacks. Marseille create from wide areas and look to overload fullback zones. So if you're watching a game, you can have a look at this. If it's not going that way, you can know maybe in play you could lay them. So we do all of this every night. So we've done that tonight. You can see a good example of it would be Standard Liège. I'm recording this very late and inside. Apologies for that because it's freezing and I've been working all day on other projects. But anyway, I knew you guys would want a lean for tomorrow or an actual bet for Saturday, which is tomorrow. So I thought I'd do a late video and put it out anyway. But a prime example of this would be we've got in the yellow bucket for low goals, we've got Standard Liège in their match. And if we then go down to home win strength, Standard Liège aren't doing that well. It implies it could be a close game, could be a draw maybe. And then first half goals, we've got a little piece on here. Standard Liège is very low in that. And where's the Standard Liège notes? I'll read them out. Standard usually push their fullbacks high and pin opponents back at home. Zulterwagen can struggle when forced to defend their box for long, and if standards score early, this game could turn into a one-way traffic sort of game. As it happens, it was 0-0. All the bets came in. We didn't have any bets on them, but if you would have been following it and you would have got them as a lean, you could have had something on there and maybe made some money. For us, it was only about I think it was only about a half a goal gap, so it's not enough for us to make a bet. So now finally just on to the big book, which we've got one of these for every division that we cover, all the 6 leagues. These produce a summary data table. So to give you a clue, if you were one of our patron members, you'd be getting a list of all of these, which are in the Championship, we've got 6 leans and 3 bets this weekend. In the Bundesliga, we've got 5 leans and 1 bet. La Liga, no leans, 2 bets. Premier League, 4 leans, no bets. I'm quite pleased we've got no bets there because after an international break, the Premier League is typically unpredictable and sometimes injuries are not researched properly. In Serie A, we've got 1 lean, and in the Brazilian League, we've got 2 leans. As well as that, if you were in the Patreon, you would get how those did. So on Monday or Tuesday next week, there'll be a follow-up with how these 6 leans and 3 bets got on. Not necessarily for us, but how they just got on against the market. Did they work? Didn't they work? Etc. So all will become clear when people join up, but that's absolutely how it works. It's simple. And so it's probably what every single person came here, which is free bet time. Now let me just timestamp that 11:30 because I know a lot of people like to jump straight to the free bet and not bother listening to all the rest of the waffle. So the timestamp for the big bet is 11:45. Now, if you're just joining for the big bet, it goes without saying that they are free. You don't have to pay for them. You can just jump to the timestamp. So please give us a like, give us a subscribe, click the bell on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast, leave us a 5-star review. Comment, ask us what else you want to see, whether you are happy having it timestamped so you don't have to listen, or whether that's just making you lazy and you're missing out actually all the tidbits of how we bet. But do that. Do the like, the subscribe, share it on the social platforms, etc. It all helps us out massively. It can keep us doing this, and it's totally free. I think you know where the bet's coming because I think you've seen the thumbnail, and the thumbnail is of who? Big Frank, our man at Coventry. Isn't he doing well? We love seeing Frank do well. So Coventry West Brom, which is a sort of derby. I'm never too sure in the Midlands of whose biggest rivalries are whose, but there's a lot of them. And it's from the Asian handicap supremacy market, which is most bookies have got Coventry, Bet365, for example, 41 to 40, so evens. They've got Coventry with 3/4 of a goal, supremacy. As ever, I'll reiterate straight away that there is no affiliation to Bet365. They are not a sponsor. They are not connected to us. We do not have accounts with them. We've got Coventry to win by 1.7 goals, which is the whole goal lead, isn't it? So it's 0.75 at the bookies, but we've got 1.75. Coventry are at home. This is on the TV. Big Frank will want to outperform on a TV game at lunchtime in the UK. He doesn't want the rest of the world not to realise what Coventry and Frank are doing. So therefore, we will be going long the supremacy of Coventry, and that then means you can go long the other aspects of this market because, as I always say to you, the bet builders, that all of the Coventry prices will be based off that supremacy, and we're saying that there's value in going long Coventry. So pick a market that you like and get on with it. That's it. Be smart, be safe, everyone. Be nice to everyone. And we'll probably come back with another video tomorrow, which will tip up a bet on the Sunday slate somewhere, because I'm sure we'll find one. There's a lot of games. But have a brilliant evening. I know it's hardly any bit left for us in Europe, but if you're watching from around the world or even tomorrow morning, it's all valid. Pick up you'll know that Frank's the bet, so you can pick it up before midday and still get that bet on. Thanks all. See you later.